Okay, good afternoon. So I'll be recording this presentation for the benefit of the modular class. So without further ado, let us start. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay, so I'll just first explain the research notebook. By the way, do you have your research notebook with you? Please open your videos and show me your research notebooks now. Okay, very good. Complete attendance, 13. So make sure that you only have your research notebooks and keep your research notebooks because it will be helpful, especially when you proceed to senior high, even college, because research does not change. The principles, they always stay the same. So never lose your notebooks. So you only take down notes of the things or the tasks that I ask you to. So not everything. But if you want to write everything, very good for going beyond what is expected. So what to submit during note-taking activities? Okay? So muna ni sa atong general nga format. But first, I want you to take a selfie of yourself holding a sample of your notes. Mag-note-taking na bala. Then, you also take a picture of your complete notes with your name, your section, and date above per page. Okay? So later on, I'll be asking you to write down notes on a specific task. So kada page, you need to take a picture of your name, your section, and date. Ang selfie niya, one time na niya klasa sa notes niya bala. Isa ni ka picture niya sa notes nga may mga written notes daw. Hindi napakita lang kamo nagsulat to avoid the idea nga basta iban sa inyo will only ask for a copy or a picture of the notes of your classmates. So I need proof. To submit a specified section on Google Classroom. So right now, I already have a section here on Google Classroom. I think you already see it naman because it is, you're notified that I already posted a classwork. So that is on the PT1 Note ISEF Guidelines. So this will be our first note-taking task. So later on, I'll be showing you the things that you need to take down notes on your notebook in written form, not in digital form. Okay? So by the way, tingbong ko na lang, please if mag-submit ka mo, when you submit your output, always inang click the turn in. Okay? Once you're done, always click turn in. Like for example, you have Biala. Biala, nakasubmit ka na yan, no? Sa quiz
Yes, sir.
1.
Oh, sir.
Ah, since you transferred ikaw to nag-transfer, no?
Oh, sir.
I-click mo lang turn in. But right now, para ano lang, para I will asking you screenshots like ginubra ni Samandra para makita ko gate nga para ma-proof giba lang nga nag-submit ka mo. Although makita ko man sa form, but let's be uniform na lang from now on the next quizzes or outputs. You will click turn in. At the same time, you will submit a screenshot that you are done with the quiz. Okay? Arab lang may names. Kita ba? Anong ginapag sa screen? Nan. Like kaya sa Mandra nyo, kita nyo, may screenshot. So screenshot nyo ang quiz, then you also upload it, then click turn in. Aside from answering the form. Okay? Is that clear? Okay? So reminders, deadline of group home base, that will be on Wednesday. Again, I will base it on your research plan, hindi a title alone. So you'll be submitting me 3 research plan. Aside from the 3 research plan that is submit nyo, sabay 3 nga group, especially if you were rejected last year. So that's a total of 6 research plan. Okay? So tatlong RP sa group home base, isa lang na ang akong pilion. But if tatlo is well written, you can choose kung di na gusto niyo i-conduct. Okay, klaro na sa group home base. Again,
Yes,
submit
sir.
to your president in this PM. My instruction was to submit it to the president. Okay, so let's now have our formal class discussion. Can you see it now, the PDF? I already uploaded this one on Google Classroom, but I just discussed because this is already something that we have discussed naman. since you were in grade 8. So by the way, nang before nalipagawin magano. So for example, sa note-taking class, aring example, I'll be asking you to take down notes about nan. So this will be our PT1 note-taking activity. So take pictures, submit, copy the questions, and you answer. So what are the 7 ISEF ethics statements? Give a one-sentence short description for each. What are the 4 R's for vertebrate animals? And what are the 4 risk groups for biological agents? Define each. When you define, you only give a one-sentence description or summary. That's enough. Again, you don't need to copy everything I discuss. Only this one, this graded one. But you can always write everything. Kung gusto mo yung mag-go beyond what is asked. Basta, amo lang yung gusto ko graduan. Amo na siyang parts ng notes nga ipakita nyo. Wala labot sa inyong selfie of your notebook. Okay? Questions? None.
None, sir.
Okay, let's proceed to the lesson. Ano question? Yes, Kayla?
Pwede sir, ang notebook, ang parts ng binder na sir.
Ano na?
Ang notebook, ang sa binder na bala sir.
Oh, pwede lang,
na-
pwede lang, pwede lang. Basta make sure nga may ano lang ka mo ha. Enough for research. Labi, pinibasta pa ni fourth quarter. Okay? So let's proceed to our lesson on ISEF guidelines. We know. So ISEF guidelines, ano na? Oh. ISEF guidelines are there for us to be guided of the ethical principles that we need to follow. Okay? We can just conduct research because we want it to. There are rules and regulation that needs to be followed. So for example, we have here the 7 ethics statement. Okay? So this is only not for students, but also for adults. All scientists follow these guidelines because research can be harmful. Research can cause damage to yourself, to the environment, to the animals, your subjects. So there must be some risk assessments or regulations of some sort. That's why they have this ethics statement. So you have integrity, legality, respect for confidentiality, and intellectual property. Itaon lang, those who are using cell phones. Clear man, no? Your kitaon.
Kitanon, sir.
Okay. Stewardship to the environment. Animal care, human participation protection, and of course, your hazardous biological agent. So, amo ni sila ang atong 7 ethics statement. Let's start with integrity. You can read, yes, your.
Honestly, objectivity and avoidance of conflicts of interest are expected during every phase of the research. The project should reflect independent research done by students and represent only 1 year's work.
Okay. So, of course, integrity, you must be the one, you must be honest. You need to make sure that the research was really done by you and not by other people. Right now, in the research field, there are people that are paying other people to do their research. Do ka, ano siya guys, that is very against sa principles ng research. Nga imo nga pangalan, tapos iban mo obra. The same man na, I think, for for paying people to do your assignments. Diba? Right now, puso subong, takpan subong ang online kopyahanay. So, I hope that you're not a member of that group. Budlay ng lesson. Ano kapos ng lesson? Diba? When it comes to research, of course, avoidance of conflicts of interest. So, for example, may gisubmit kang research on one, kagisubmit naman sa isa, so hindi na pwede. Okay, so dapat isa lang and represent only 1 year's work. Okay? Independent research done by the students. General rule, 80% of the research must be done by you. Okay, basta 100% ang lab technician gobra, so hindi na pwede. That's why sa group home base, I'm requiring video documentations, especially sa ato na procedures. Okay? So dapat may ma-video, may ma-edit. That's why there are five of you to really distribute the work. Okay? Next, legality. You can read. Legality, just raise your hands. Hand. Yes, Ezekiel.
Compliance with all federal, country, state, and local laws is essential. All projects must be approved by a Scientific Review Committee or SRC, and when necessary must also be approved by an Institutional Review Board or IRB, Institutional Animal Care and Use Committee IACUC, and or Institutional Biosafety Committee or IBC.
So in short, dapat legal. Wala mga illegal. Okay? So dapat ka-follow laws. Wala laws nga gina-violate, and so on and so forth. That's simple. Basta may mga shabu ka mo dang ginabutang, or mga ano pa dang ginapamatay ng mga sapat. That's why gina-review ka board and committees. Next, third, respect for confidentiality. Read. Yes, Per. You were raising your hand earlier. Go, Per.
Confidential communication as well as patent, copyrights, and other forms of intellectual property must be honored. Unpublished data, methods, or results may not be used without permission, and credit must be given to all contributions to research.
So, mo na nga importante ang citation. Kaya pwede ka mo kasuhan kung saan lang ang inyong pag-cite. Okay? E dawing kawat ilang ilang work. Grabe, ba subong intellectual property, pwede ka kikasuhan. Even sa music, mga art, so halong kita. Next, stewardship of the environment. Yes, Kayla, Danay. Kayla, go.
It is the responsibility of the researchers and the adults involved to protect the environment and its organisms from harm. All projects involve some amount of risk. Everyone is expected to recognize the hazards, assess the risks, minimize them, and prepare for emergencies.
So dapat wala harm sa environment as much as possible because we need to protect the environment. Wala mga toxic fumes, wala mga pollution. That's why disposal is part of the procedure. The proper disposal of your chemicals, mga waste, mga dead animals. You need to know to bury them, to properly dispose them. Next, animal care. Samandra.
Proper care and respect must be given to vertebrate animals. The guiding principles for the use of animals in research includes the following four R's: replace, reduce, refine, and respect.
So, muna siyang 4 R's, which I will discuss later on. So, animal rights and lives must also be respected. Hindi ka pwede ka pinagusto dissect pa ka. Even pa ka. Mga mice. So, you treat them with respect in the name of science, man. Okay? Treat them properly. Dissect them ethically. Baka mo na siya. Okay? That's why we have the LD50. What is LD50? Also remember. LD50. Kung naman niyo pa. What does it mean, LD50? When it comes to animals. Yes, Amandra.
The amount of materials are given all at once, which causes the death of 50% of a group of test animals.
Okay, very good. That is the little dose 50, meaning you cannot have a mortality rate greater than 50%. So kung ang mice mo daw 100, 51 na patay, your research no longer valid, no longer ethical. That's why lungan ginang mice, even storage. Kaya sa mga mice, gaka-stress, gaka-patay, in captivity, sa ilang cage, sa ilang box. So, dapat alungan tagin. Next, we have the human participant form or protection. You can read, yes, Priyan.
The highest priority is the health and well-being of the student researchers and human participants.
So that's why even sa group home-based ang project, dapat safe ang inyong experiment. Okay? That's why do experiment lang like mga bra bags, di ba? Matay tayo ka mo. Alam lang minimal risk. That's why present your research plan properly so that I can choose what's best for you to do. Then lastly, PHBA, you can read Dayaw, go.
It is the responsibility of the student and adults involved in the project to conduct and document a risk assessment and to safely handle and dispose of organisms and materials.
So kung magamit ka ba na bacteria, fungi, virus, there must be risk assessment and proper handling. Okay? So these are the 7 ethics statement. Questions? None. So let's skip this part. You already know this one. Documentation, very important. Okay, mga forms, kabula na kamo ni. Let's proceed to the human participants, which includes you. So dapat kung mag-survey ka mo, dapat confidential. Hindi pag-share ang mga results ka survey. Dapat talungan ang inyong alawas. All data record projects must be confidential and must be kept. Okay? Tama na siya. So dapat wala harm sa aton nga physical, emotional, and even mental well-being. So basta gakanda ka mo survey, ando ka naman, do ka private din nga survey, hindi pa i-share ang inyong nga results without permission. Okay? That's why sa mga survey, ang name is optional to ensure that there is confidentiality. Di ba sa doctor may may patient, may patient doctor confidentiality. So hindi pwede basta-basta ma-release ang ang diagnose sa patients and so on. Kumuna siya. Next, we have the vertebrate animals. So these are our 4 R's. Replace, reduce, refine, respect. So replace, so imbes na magamit animals, pwede naman culture, some cells or tissues. Di ba? Nga magamit kita mice, nga live mice gid. Kung pwede naman cell or tissue. Di ba? Di ba po naman na mag-isolate? I mean relatively, using the right tools. Imbes nga sa mice gid. Kung study mo based about antimitotic, antibacterial, just test it on cells or on the bacteria. You don't need to use live mice gid. Unless your study is behavioral. Di ba? Ang mice, ibutang mo sa maze. Siyempre, you will use ganyan live mice. Pero kung kaya naman tissue or cells or even computer simulations, so why not? That is for the replace. Reduce. Nga kinang mag 100 ka mice ko pwede naman 15. Di ba sa replicates 333? Nga 100 ka gid. So you don't need to compromise the physical validity to the right number of animals. So reduce. You don't need 100, 1,000. Ano nga? For example, gusto mo be kay para accurate ang ni sir. 25 ka replicates. Di ba pwede minimum 3? Pero technically, pwede man as many as you can. Pero nga 25 gid is not justifiable. So just 3 is okay, is fine. You can already perform a statistical tool on 3 kay may measure suicidal tendency ka naman na may middle point ka naman. Or even 5 at most. Refine. Minimize pain or distress to the animals. That's why proper handling, proper caging, transporting. Iban nga research ang mga sapat kakapatay upon transport. Kakapatay sa cage. Kay gastampid ang mga ilaga. Wala pa kasulang experiment. Dabadamo na napatay. So amon siya amon research ang sanguna sa classmate namon. May lang kay na defend nila. Pero wala man to pa 50%. May lang gani. Ikaw maglapat to 50, baldag nila research. They won the national nga research fair. And respect. Remember, animals have lives, so they must also be respected. Nan. Para, they must recognize their contribution sa research. Ibang tao, gani, ginarespeto nga patay for the cadavers nga gina-dissect ang mga nursing, di ba? Yung mga procedures na gina-follow. So, dapat, proper handling gid. Okay, questions on 4 hours? Questions?
None, sir.
None.
None, sir.
Let's go to the, to the last. The PHBA for your agents, biological agents, classified in 4 risk groups according to the danger they pose. So what is the BSL-1? Who can read? By the way, BSL stands for biosafety level. So the more kasaka, the more siya naga-dangerous, and the more siya nga prohibited to be conducted. So what is BSL-1? Who can read? Joash.
Risk group contains biological agents that pose low risk to personnel and the environment. These agents are highly unlikely to cause disease in healthy laboratory workers, animals, or plants. The agents require biosafety level 1 containment. Examples of BSL-1 organisms are Agrobacterium tumefaciens, Micrococcus luteus, Neurospora crassa, and Bacillus subtilis.
So they require minimal risk assessment because they are generally less hazardous. So that's why ginalaw ang students mag-conduct. From BSL-1 to BSL-2, pwede pa conduct. Pag 3 and 4, prohibited. So for example, Agrobacterium tumefaciens, familiar? Ano na siya nga bakterya? Di ba sa inyo nga bio, sa science, may mga bakterya sa grade 8? Di ba this is sa mga tumor, sa mga plants, ang kabok-kabok na wala? Amo na siya. Ang tumefaciens, Agrobacterium tumefaciens. Then, ari gram B nga bacteria. This one, sa mga mold sa bread. Di ba neurospora, spores, mga mold. And this one, sa lining sa inyong stomach. Na nag-protect man sa inyong mga intestine, mga bladder. That's why your body is actually full of bacteria. And some are good bacteria. Like sa Yakult, Lactobacillus, mga good bacteria. Okay? So they are generally okay. Nga i-test mo sila, kandakan mo sila. They pose low risk. BSL-2 can read. Biala.
Risk group contains biological agents that pose moderate risk to personnel and the environment. If exposure occurs in a laboratory situation, the risk of spread is limited and it rarely would cause infection that, that would lead to serious disease. Effective treatment and preventive measures are available in the event that an infection occurs. The agents require biosafety level 2 containment. Examples of BSL-2 organisms are Mycobacterium, Streptococcus pneumonia, Salmonella, Cholera suis.
So although they possess harm, pwede pa rin sila with adult supervision. That's why ga-test ka mo ang salmonella, o pneumonia, di ba, mga antibacterial property of blah 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 blah. So pwede pa. But still, they might cause infection if not handled properly. The same man nagyapo sa BSL-1. But the difference is that pwede nyo panikandakan. Students, pwede nyo makandakan. But pag 3, prohibited na. Okay? You can read BSL-3. Cabo, Enrica.
BSL-3 risk group contains biological agents that usually cause serious disease, human, animal, or plant, or that can result in serious economic consequences. Projects in the BSL-3 group are prohibited.
So for example, of course, you have the coronavirus, serious economic consequence, like right now. Ma-feel to subong, damo ga pamigado, damo ga kawadan obra, okay, because of the virus. So dapat, they must be handled by experts na gid, mga virologists and microbiologists na gid. Hindi pwede nga students lang makaobra, nga makaano gali directly study on this one. So pwede ka pa diya obra app, di ba? O do COVID-19 na siya nga ano, nga response. But wala ba mo direct nga touch or contact or even testing sa virus itself. So pwede siya. Okay? And lastly, we have the BSL-4. Can read. Yes, Nicole.
BSL-4 risk group contains biological agents that usually produce very serious disease, human, animal, or plant, that is often untreatable. Projects in the BSL-4 group are prohibited.
So for example, you want to study about anthrax. Are you familiar with anthrax? Anthrax, familiar? Di ba that is a bacteria, Bacillus anthracis, used for gin-weaponize. So gingamit siya nga bomb on an area. So although wala mga missiles, may megalupok, pero bacteria ang ga-spread. So very dangerous sa gyapon. That's why gina-isolate siya. Mga Yersinia pestis, sa Black Death, nga mga grabe, nagiblang threat, nga treatable lang, di basta sa matreat. Like certain death, gidya, na mapatay ka gidya in short time. So this is very, very prohibited na gidya. Only those that are qualified can, or authorized, can study on this one. Okay, that's why gina-isolate sila sa mga super sealed or contained nga environment. Nga gina-keep sila gyapon now. Di ba sa mga movies, ang naka-rep na sila, naka-rep, gina-cryogenics, gina-preserve, gid. Although very, very harmful sila if ever ma-release. Pero why is it na gina-keep sila gyapon? For what reason? Anyone? Yes, Ezekiel?
Para sir sa ano guro sir, para ma-weaponize sa in case of war. Oo muna sir.
Grabe ba? Pessimistic. Let's go to the positive side Yes, pwede man siya, like, okay man na in preparation, but I don't think nga magamit na siya, especially sa mga scientists, kinabla mismo, because they follow ethics. So, hindi pwedeng gamitan for war because they're ethics. Even nuclear, hindi ka basta-basta ka-press nuclear. Di ba war, may rules of engagement Di ba, familiar? Hindi ka di basta-basta ka paniro lang. Kung ka-surrender ang nimo kontra, natiroon mo, kay kontra niya, mga Nazis niya. That is still a war crime. Pwede ka nakasuwan, nag-surrender, natiroon mo pa. That's why may mga weapons na hindi allowed. Isa na ang mga biological warfare that is banned. Even nuclear weapons, hindi ka basta-basta kubra ka-fire nuclear. Okay? So imagine, war may rules. Patsanay na may rules gapon. Di ba do ka weird? Like for example, you cannot shoot civilians. Di ba? Bis ka ng kontra. Siya na yung opposing side. Hindi pwede ka shoot civilians or else that's a war crime. But going back, gina-keep ang Black Death na virus. Di ba? Ebola, like for example, meron lang isa ka single cells ang Ebola. Nga gina-keep ka mga scientists. For what reason? Yes,
In case mag-advance ang technology katapos sir may muan nila cure.
Very good. For them to develop a cure. That's why ang coronavirus, ang COVID, may cure dayon in less than 1 year. Kidugay nagnasadiyan, decades na nagatunan. That's why may vaccine dayon. Di ba? Sa una, yung mga influenza, 3 years ang vaccine. Black Death, wala gid vaccine. That's why ginasadiyan nila. Kaya what if mag-outbreak liwat? So may vaccine na dayon nga ready. May antibiotics tayo nga ready. Okay? Then chemicals, they might be regulated. Basi toxic, reactive, flammable, corrosive. You can read toxicity. All na lang, you can read all Doon tayo naman. Sino pa ngayon na tukso? Yes. Gabriel.
Tanan yun, sir, basahan.
Katanan.
Toxicity, the tendency of a chemical to be hazardous to health when inhaled, swallowed, injected, or in contact with the skin. Reactivity, the tendency of a chemical to undergo chemical change. Flammability, the tendency of a chemical to give off vapors which readily ignite when used under normal working conditions. Corrosiveness, the tendency of a chemical upon physical contact to harm or destroy living tissues or physical equipment.
So toxic, basiga poison ka mo na. Gandi ka mo muriatic acid, 'di ba? Masunugin yung skin. Or basiga ano ka mo daga mix ka mo da chemicals, may ka mo kabalo ang fumes toxic gali. Kibutan na ka mo ka mo ginawa. Reactive, basiga ano ka mo daga ga nuclear bomb ka mo da. Okay? The explosives, ga mix ammonium nitrate sa kalayo. So balda. Flammable, basiga release ka mo hydrogen sa room. Kasi hindi ka mo. Manong room, malupok. Because hydrogen is highly flammable. And corrosive, basta gagamit ka mo da acid, muriatic, so dapat kablo ka mo mag-handle, so dapat may adult supervision. Kaya diba, need na magyapon mag-test for these T-types. That's why reaction hydrochloric acid sa bioplastics, gina-submerge sa muriatic. So dapat kabalo ka mo na mag-handle. So wear good proper equipment. Mga gloves, mga lab gown, and okay? And, so I think that's it. Questions? Dito na pagpalawigo na,
None,
para di
sir.
man lawig ang recording. Questions?
None, sir.
None. So, amot sa inyo nga i-write sa notes, ISEF ethics statement, then the 4 R's. Na-upload ko naman yapon ang module. Then, your PHBA risk groups. Nan. So, aralan ni tanan sa module, sa video nga i-upload ko karon. Ang recording sa amo ni nga video, i-upload ko ni siya karon for the benefit of the modular class. Okay? So deadline of the notebook is still on Friday. Please do not submit late outputs to avoid deduction sa inyong points. Deadline of group home base will be ang names ng gali and tentative titles tomorrow. The RPs, the 6 RPs will be on September 30. So I hope nga tanan may groups na. Sa mandraw, kayo na inyong grouping, may individual, na-check mo yung mga classmates.
Ang waay to sir kanday alunan si Yor. Waay to sir groupings. May isa pa ba ka section sir nga waay pa ka pa.
Sige. I-check nyo lang karon na masabi ka mo final, gidadayon.
Sige
Okay?
sir. Sir.
So by 3 and by 5. So kung gusto mo mag-individual sa by 5, no problem. Remember na kaya nyo ni last year ng individual. So I'm sure makaya nyo manigyapon subong. Okay? So be sure to distribute the task evenly. Dapat tanan may contribution, especially nga 5 nagika mo. So di ko mag-expect mga delays. Okay? Mga inaway-away pa da. Everybody, please cooperate bala. Kay kamo manigyapon maka-benefit. Kaya kung di ka magabulig, madala nyo naman nagyapon, mag-senior high ka mo, mag-college ka mo. So, mabawi man nagyapon, ma-reflect man nagyapon sa inyong attitude later on. Okay? So, questions? None? Thursday, hindi na ako mag-meet because I will have a meeting, district validation sa mga researches. So, use that time to plan out your research plans sa by 3 and by 5 or even take down your notes. Okay? Sige, no more questions. Goodbye, Newton.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Thank you,
sir.
Yes,
sir.
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 Thank you, sir.